Hello all and welcome to our Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on this gorgeous little pumpkin. Don't you love it? It's so cute. Now a lot of my regulars would already know that I don't like doing amigurumi very much. But something like this wasn't too bad because it's not it didn't have to be so tight or anything fancy like that. And I should have probably put more stuffing in it in hindsight because it's really quite loose. But that's okay. It's a bit of heads up for you guys to make sure you put a bit more stuffing in yours. And if you're joining us new, firstly, welcome. We are doing quite a few things for Halloween this year, and this pumpkin is one of them. We also have a capelet happening, a spider and a spider web. So get excited, guys. There's so much more to come. All right, but in the meantime, today we're doing the pumpkin, and I just wanted to let you know just quickly some of the measurements so that you know how big your pumpkin is going to be. Now, mine turned out to be 42, I'm lying, let's try. Come on, Mary, get it right. 42 centimeters in width around your pumpkin, which is about 16.5 inches. Yes. And from top to bottom, so from not so much from there, but from the middle of the top there down to the bottom is 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So if you wanted to make yours larger, just add more chains from the beginning. If you wanted to make yours wider, just add more rows. Okay, best part about this pattern is no stitch count to worry about. Yay. Oh no, that's not true. You still have to make sure you have the same amount of stitches in the row, and it's only a 1 row repeat. How gorgeous is that? 1 row repeat, no stress and no worries. And there's only this part here is a difficult part, I have to admit. I even struggled with it. But of course, you know, like I say, a mid-room is not my thing, so, you know, there you go. But in the meantime, it doesn't matter. What you will need is the yarn. Today I used, let's pop that out the way for a minute so you can see, I used the Cleckheaton Country 100% Australian wool, and I used well, it does say to use a 4mm hook, and I actually did use a 4mm hook. And it's an 8-ply, a number 3 or a DK weight. So if you do not have this brand in your country, by all means just use the 8-ply or a double knit weight if you are after the weight. Now if you want a larger, a more thicker pumpkin, go up to a 10-ply and do 10-ply or number 4 or an Aran weight, whatever it's called. Just remember it's going to come out a lot bigger, you know, just a heads up there. Now I only used 40 grams. This is a 50-gram skein. So I really only used just over 3/4 of this one skein. Now I sent the winner of our, by the way, this was a competition. If you're new, it was part of a competition. And I sent the winner of the competition 2 in case we used 2. Now we only used 1, so she scored an extra skein of yarn, so it's great. And we use 1 of this, 3/4 of this, and we use, I don't know, 3 or 4 grams, 5, maybe even 7 grams of the brown for the little top part there. All right, and that's that. You will need your measuring tape if you want to, you know, if you're really pedantic about how much it measures, you will need that. You will need your scissors. I said hook, didn't I? Yes. You will need 1 stitch marker. You'll need a sewing needle. Now with the sewing needle, let me give you a close-up. Make it a long one. This is fairly long because you're going to need that to go in and out of here. Now I struggled with mine because, silly me, didn't leave long enough tail when I started. So when you start chaining your chains, and I say do a quick slip knot, don't leave a tail that small. Leave a nice long tail because you're going to need that to sew your pumpkin up. I thought the length that I left was enough, but it wasn't, and I struggled. But the top one I left a normal size length, so that was perfect. And that's about it, guys. I don't really need to tell you anymore because obviously, like most of my tutorials, they do go a long time. I'm going to let you get started creating your gorgeous pumpkin. Good luck, guys. Alrighty, guys, we're going to start off by making a quick slip knot, just giving yourself a little bit extra tail for that. Grabbing your tail end, wrap it around your finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there. All right, we're going to pass our back loop halfway over our finger, and then we're going to pass, oh, let's get a close-up, the other loop all the way over. Pop your hook in and just giving everything a tug, and you should have, what, I don't know, a little hand and a half kind of thing of tail. That will help us towards the end of our pumpkin, all right? It is a 1 row repeat, but it's a kind of a little bit tricky and you have to be careful where you're popping your hook. All right, so we're going to start off the easy part, and that's by chaining. Now you need to chain up any amount that you like, okay? Now you saw the measurements of our pumpkin in the promo, so you know pretty much how much it measures. So this is the amount of chains that I will make for that measurement. If you want your pumpkin to be a little bit bigger, you add more chains, and if you want it to be a little bit wider, you do more rows, okay? But for now, we're going to chain up 31, okay? So yarn over your hook. Oh, let me get a close-up. I'm not even showing you how to do this. And a chain is yarn over your hook, pull it through the loop once, yarn over twice, yarn over 3 times, 4 and 5. All right, so go ahead and chain 31, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and my yarn's all tangled, 18, you like that, 19 and 20. Oh, I'm sorry, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Oh, I got a bit complacent there, didn't I? Here we go. All right, so we are going to be putting half double crochets in these chains, but we are putting them in a 3rd loop. Now let me just show you quickly the loops. All right, you have these 2 loops right here, one in the front and one in the top. When you turn your work this way, you have like a bump, which is right there between every stitch. A lot of people call that the back bump, and a lot of people call that the 3rd loop. Regardless of what we call it, that's what we're going to be doing. So yarn over your hook, turn your little chains towards you. You're going to miss that first bump you see right there. You're going to go into the 2nd bump, and you'll see it right there. A bit tight for me because I crochet tightly, but there you go. All right, now it's not this loop or the bottom loop, it's turning your work a little bit. And it's that little bump right there. So you pop your hook in there, pull a loop through. You should have 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over your hook, turning your work this way. Your very next bump will be right there. All right, I hope I'm doing this slow enough for you. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3, yarn over your hook, facing you. You'll find now that your work will automatically start facing you. So you'll automatically see that very next bump, and it'll become a lot easier for you to do. So hook in, pull a loop through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 3. Okay, let's try it again. Yarn over your hook, and there's your bump. You can see it straight away, that very next bump. All right, so what I need for you to do is to go across all your chains here. And you know what? You can actually make yours as long as you like. Now, before you did this row here, you could have added an extra 4 chains, 5, 7, 10, depends on how big you want your pumpkin to be, all right? But I'm going to leave mine this size because firstly, it's a lot easier for me to show you in a small amount, and then secondly, it's just a perfect amount for me to stick on a little bench top or little mantelpiece somewhere around the house. And in my case, I'm going to pop it in our yarn room, so you'll be able to see that when we do our lives. And we do our lives on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Melbourne, Australia time, that is, and Saturday mornings 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time. Okay, that's every week. All right, and what we do in those lives, firstly, we discuss all the projects that we've been doing during the week, any new projects coming up, and don't forget, we're going to start talking about Christmas soon. Get excited for that. But we also do what we call the Wow Wheel. And the Wow Wheel, it is a wheel that we spin. And you know what? You just have to be in it to win it. So pop on our lives and be a part of that wheel, and you could win numerous prizes, okay? And I'm talking to try and get to the end of the row, but it's taking so long. And we're almost there. Promise, guys, I promise. Just think that next row that we're going to do is it. And it's a 1 row repeat all the way until you get to the width of your pumpkin. All right? And whatever size you want your pumpkin to be, I'll give you the amount of rows that I'm doing. And you can do the same amount of those rows as I'm doing, or you can do whatever amount of rows that you like. We're almost there. Almost there. A few stitches left. And what I might do is, it's a bit awkward there. I might pop this real close for you to have a look at in a minute. Okay, let's get nice and close. And I'm sorry about the fingers there, the enlarged hand. But I just want to show you the end. Make sure you're not missing out on any chains. And there's another bump right there. And what you should have is that left, yeah? So just turn it. You can actually see it. You really can see all the bumps. All right, like so. And I split that yarn. Let's try that again. Hello. Here we go, that's better. All right, so what you have is that. All right, so what I would like for you to do is to count your stitches across. It doesn't really matter count in this particular piece. What does matter is that you have the same amount of stitches in every row. You don't need it for anything. You just want to make sure you've got the same amount in every row. The way we count is we count these little, see those little kind of V's that you see there? That's the stitch we're counting. So 1, 2, 3, all right? And off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. All right, so you should have 30 stitches across, and it doesn't matter if you ended up with 29, like you might have done one chain less, or 31. It doesn't matter. Either way, it won't make too much of a difference, a little tiny bit in millimeter, and it won't make too much. But whatever stitches you have in this row is the same amount of stitches that you need to have in every other row afterwards. But count is not important for the stitch pattern, if that makes any sense at all. All right, so let's continue. This is your repeat row. Get excited, guys. All right, so what you're going to do now is chain 1, turn your work. Now turn the work whichever way you feel comfortable. Just remain consistent throughout your piece. So yarn over your hook. You're going to be putting half double crochets in that back bump or third loop yet again. If you look carefully at our work, because we put our half double crochets already in the back bump of our previous row or our starting row, our first loop is facing us and our second loop. So when you look at it this way, you're actually looking at it right there. That is your back bump. That's it, your third loop right there. So super duper easy. You're going to skip this chain right here, and we're going to go straight into the very first stitch, yarn over your hook with a half double crochet in your third loop, or the back bump. Pull a loop through, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And there it is. Now yarn over your hook, pull your work forward, and you can see them. They're sticking out, yeah? You've got your 1, 2, and there's your third loop right there. And off you go, all the way across. Now remember guys, this is a repeat row. So it's going to become obvious in every row where that third loop is. And it already is obvious. You can see these 2 loops are tucked down here, and the third loop is actually facing us. And let me get a nice close-up so you can see it better. So yarn over your hook, there's your first loop, your second loop, and turn it this way, there is your third loop. All right? 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and what this is going to do is it's going to give the ridges on your work to form the pumpkin look. You know the ridges on a pumpkin that you get when you look at a pumpkin and it's got those lines down all the way down? Well, that's what you're going to get with this third loop. All right. Now, when you get to the end of this row, whatever crochet count you had in your previous round, row, it's not in the round, you need to have exactly the same amount. But there's no pattern count, which is great. You just need to make sure that each row is exactly the same amount, and this is going to be a repeat row. You're going to love it, guys. And you can do this while watching TV if you are an avid crocheter. If you are new, take your time, no rush. Okay, so we're almost there. We're almost there. Let me get a little close up in a minute so you can see what I'm doing with the last few stitches. The last bit's a little tricky, making sure you get that right stitch, okay? You could use stitch markers if you like. I'm not going to bother with this pattern because I find the stitch markers can be a little confusing. All right, so that's what we have here. Yarn over your hook, you can see the first loop, the second loop, and then pushing forward, you can actually see that third loop. It's a bit tight, but it's there. All right, so pull your loops through, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And that is your first row, yeah? After the end of every row, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now you can turn your work any way you like, just remain consistent throughout your pattern. All right, so let's start you off again. Yarn over your hook, and you're going straight into your very first stitch. Now you are skipping that little chain stitch right there. It's a tiny little stitch, but right next to it is your next stitch. And you know what? You can see that third loop. It's facing us. So there's 1, 2, and there's your third loop. All right, and off you go. It's super duper easy now. What you're going to do though, is you're going to head off on your own and make your 2.5 million rows and then meet me back. How's that? And then we will join our pumpkin together, pop in the polyfill, whatever you want to call it, polyfill stuffing, and then we will finish off our pumpkin. All right, so it's not very difficult to make your pumpkin. Really, it isn't. All right, now your job is to head off on your own, making sure you have the same amount of stitches in every row, okay? And also, making sure you are going in your third loop and not your first and second. What I would like for you to do now is to make 33 more rows and then meet me back here and we will start joining our pumpkin together. All right, so go ahead and finish your rows and I'll meet you back here when you're done. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the rows. This is getting exciting now. I am at my 35th row. Now it doesn't matter what row you went to, whether it was 34, 33, 36, whatever, but probably best to be on this side of your work. If you have already weaved this tail end in, then it doesn't matter either way. You can be on any side you like. But this is, for me, the best side to be on because this is our right side of the work. The very first row we did was our right side of the work. What we're going to do now, making sure you've chained your 1 at the end of your row like so. Chain 1, yep. And then you are passing your work, your little piece, over like that. All right, that's all you're doing right now. Then, this is where we are. You're facing, your working end is facing your tail end, yes? What you're going to do now is you're going to be slip stitching in the back loops of each side. So here, in fact, what I'll do is I'll grab a needle and show you so you know where you're popping your hook. There's the back loop of that side that you're in, right? Grabbing your other side. There's the back loop of your other side. These are your back loops here. They're the only loop left, all right? In actual fact, they're your third loops that you've been working into, okay, all along. So we're going to pop our hook in the very first stitch right there in the work that you are in. Go to your opposite side, pop it in the back loop of that very first stitch as well. Pull a loop through that stitch, pull it through that stitch, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. All right, so now we're going to do it again, but in the next stitch, that's the stitch you are in. You want to go in that very next stitch there and right in the back loop of your very next stitch. Now you are in that one and you want to go into the very next one there. Pull a loop through that stitch, pull it through that stitch, and pull it through to the loop on your hook. Okay, I'm trying to go as slowly as I can. Very next stitch and very next stitch there. Pull it through, and pull it through like so. And that's pretty much all you're going to do all the way across your piece. All right, and I'm just being cheeky and pulled it through both loops at the same time. I'm being naughty. I should slow it down for you. So there's your first loop, your second, and your third. If you're anything like me, you just go like that and like that in there and just pull it through the lot like that. If you're fast, but take your time. You don't need to go fast. All right, so I'm going to just stop you there and show you what you're doing. And that is what it should look like on this side. When you don't turn it inside out, I'll just do it mine. When you turn it inside out, it should look like pretty much like the rest of your work, as if you have just done another row. All right, so continue along in that manner all the way across the row. Now I'll just grab a stitch marker and just pop it in the very last stitch for you so that you know when to stop. It'll be like, I'll show you the back of that stitch right there, just on this side. Okay, what I want you to do now is just go to the very end of this row, wait until you get to that last stitch, and I'll meet you there in a moment and we will talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so head off on your own, finish this row, and I'll meet you there in a moment. Alrighty guys, let me get a quick close-up for you. Now I'm going to take this last stitch undone, 2 stitches that is, because those last 2 stitches can be tricky to see and it can almost look like that you're wrong when you're not. All right, so there's the back of that second last stitch right there, skipping your stitch marker. And there's the back of the second last stitch on the other side. Pull your loop through there, pull it through to that stitch and pull it through to the loop that you are in. Going to remove the stitch marker for now. And there is the back of that stitch. Actually, I think that's, no, that's not the back. The back is in there. So it's a little tricky. And there is the back of the other side. Pull that loop through and pull it through to the loop you are in. It doesn't matter if you do mess up the ends because they're going to be closed up anyways. So don't stress too much about that. Now what you're going to do is just chain 1, pull up a loop. But what I want you to do is pull up a nice long loop. As long as you want, it doesn't matter. You can make it too long because we're going to cut it now. All right. So we're cutting that one right there, and mine is huge. That's probably too long, but that's okay, all right? But what you should have is that. And I'm starting to look at this thinking, I think I prefer this side than the inside. And I noticed that off air because the inside kind of gives it a little bit of a line there. So what I'm thinking, we're going to keep this side, the right side, because it actually does look better. For me, I think it looks better, all right? Entirely up to you, doesn't matter. So you should have a tail on one end and a tail on the other. Now I'm going to have to cut a bit of this one because this is like double knotted here and I'm not going to be able to get that out. So let's work on your first tail that you started off with. What you're going to do is thread your needle, and this pays to use a larger size needle for this, okay? Don't need to, I just like it because it's easier to use. And now what you're going to do is you are going to pop your thread in and out of your stitches. So find yourself a little space there, and actually what I find it's better just to go around the ridge. So the ridge that's facing you, pop your needle in and around that ridge. I'm going to get another close up there, that's better, and pull your needle through like that, all right? And then you're going to do the same all the way through each ridge. And you're thinking to yourself, these are really big spaces. But what we're going to do is pull this thread once we're done. Okay, so keep going through your ridges, just around your ridges, you know, any way you like. There's no right or wrong way of doing this part. Just find a space, pop it through, like so. Because all we're doing here is closing our pumpkin on the bottom so that we can put the stuffing through it and get ready for closing the top as well. We're almost done, guys, so get excited. I think my thread is a little too small, so I'm going to pull it as I'm going along. You don't need to. I might have to get a new thread, guys. I think mine's a little too small. We'll see. So just keep going all the way through. Very simple. Oh, don't split the yarn. It doesn't matter again. You won't notice this part at all. And you're just going back to where you started from. Super duper easy. So I'm just going to give mine a tug. You don't need to. But look, if you give it a tug, that's what happens. It kind of all closes up, yeah? You don't need to. I'm just doing it because I don't have a lot of thread. Hopefully your thread is more than mine. Hopefully it's more than mine. Oh, I'll bring that out a little bit so it's not too close anymore. So all you're doing is going all the way through. Okay, I'm going to just pop this on fast for you. Oh dear, look at that. I've lost the thread. All right, I'm going to pop it on fast and I will meet you right at the end and you'll notice it. It's right there where the tight part is. All right, so off we go. All right, guys, when you get to this section here, I've kind of stopped because it's a really big jump between the ridge because that's towards the end. So just pop it anywhere you want for the next 2 stitches there, just to pull it through, and then right through to the ridge. It doesn't really matter. Again, there's no right or wrong way of doing this, but we are here towards the end. Now, all I'm going to do is just do that. Seriously. And then we're just going to pull everything real tight. Pull it real tight, like so. Check that out. Right there. Right there. All right? So that's fairly tight all the way through. Now, what you're going to do, we really need to pull it tight, fix it up a little. I really should have had a longer thread. Oh dear. All right, now this is the easy part. No, sorry, this is the harder part. I meant to say not the easy part. What we need to do is close up this whole area here. So what you're going to do is just keep going through all thicknesses like that. That's all you're doing, going through all thicknesses like so, really tight, anywhere you want, because this is going to close it up. Look how much it's closed up already. Okay, keep going through in the round. That's why I said it didn't really matter how you finished the ends of that piece before. All right, now, I've got both my threads through there. Let's take one out. Whichever one, well, there it is. Hello. All right, so now you're going in and out like that on both sides, just like that. Literally, you're doing your 1, 2, 3. That's the second time, and that's your third. And then all you're going to do from here is pop your needle in through the bottom. Turn it, be careful not to pin yourself. Pop it through the bottom somewhere, and you're pulling it through the inside of your work, grabbing your needle through, and you're going to weave it in just a little bit. Not for anything, you're just going to make sure it's all nice and tug. And if you want to, you can actually, I can't do it because my thread is too small. In fact, I'll take it out and show you. You pop your hook through there and you pull a little loop through like that. I'll show you on the other side when we close up later how to do that. You just pull your loop through. It's not going to work now because my thread is too small. Oh no, it worked. There you go. And just give it a tug. All right. Now, if you want to, look at my thread. If you want to go back again, I'm not going to bother. Go back 2 more times, making a knot. And you don't even need to leave a short end because this is going to be stuffed in there with all your stuffing, all right? So that's the bottom part of your pumpkin done. Now grab a bit of your stuffing. There's mine. Pop it in there. It's not a lot. Put some more in just for fun. And I don't know, maybe a little bit more. Let's have a look and see how big our pumpkin is. Do you want yours bigger? Do you want more stuffing? Yeah, let's put a bit more in. I've got plenty of it. I've got plenty for the spider as well. So we're going to be stuffing the spider, his back and probably his head. I haven't really decided with the spider yet. Okay, that's plenty, I think, because this is going to be closed up now and you don't want it too tight, yeah? You don't want it too loose either, but I reckon that's plenty. So now what you're going to do is grab your sewing needle yet again. And get excited, guys, because we're almost towards the end. And thread your needle with your last minute thread. Now I've got plenty of thread here, so that's going to be good. I think we might need more stuffing. Because once I close this up, that's better. Once you close it up, that's better. Now I'm happy. All right, so now you're going to do the same as before. So just pop your needle through any way you like. And you're doing that all the way through. So I would do it every second row, or every row even, if that helps. All right, so just keep going, just as we did before, through your ridges, okay? You can make it, you know, closer if you like. I like to do a big space between them, like going through the ridges, I think is the best way to do it. That way you know where you're going. Okay, so just keep going. When you do the last bit, it's going to be done a little different, all right? Because we want to pull our pumpkin closed real tight in there. So don't cut your yarn at the end. Okay, just quickly do this until we get to the end of our row there. And I'll pop it on fast and I'll meet you at the end of the side, but don't cut your thread because we're going to do something different with this one. Alrighty guys, here I am close towards the end and I can see that because that's where our seam line is. Just give it a bit of a tug like so. Alright, and you're thinking, hey, it doesn't look like a pumpkin yet. It will in a moment, but it's not enough. I might just go right back into the ridge there like so and give it all a big tug, making sure you're a little fluff. If you want to pop some more stuffing in there, you can now, but I'm not going to bother because we're going to be turning this right into a pumpkin soon. All right, even though it might not look like it yet, but it will. Trust me, it will. All right, so now you're going to just grab your needle going through like you did before with the other side, but this side is going to be a tad different because we're going to use our thread to pull through and turn our pumpkin into a pumpkin. Keep threading your sides like that. And don't worry, this is not going to be noticed because we're going to pop our stem there later. So if it doesn't look the best, don't worry. It will. Trust me. Would you buy a used car from this woman? I don't think so. All right, now you're just going to go over one way like that. Go another way, because all you're doing here is closing up your pumpkin, and I don't think you need to do any more. But now this is where we're going. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try that again. Oh, that's okay. We're going to pop our needle through here, and it's going to go through the bottom. Okay, so when you pop your needle through, this is why you needed a big one. When you pop your needle through, go through as much as you can, and there it goes. It's coming out the bottom, and pull it through like so. And look what it's going to do in a minute. And there you go. It's going to start closing up your pumpkin. All right, so now you're going to go back the other way in a different area. Let's just try there. And you're going back through into the other side. It's come out there. like so. And there you go. All right, and you're going to do it again. And you're going to keep doing it until you're satisfied with, oh, that's no good. Oh, I'll bring that out again. Until you're satisfied with where, you know, how tight this is looking. Making sure you're not going too far out. Like I went all the way over here before. Let me get a close up. My needle came out all the way over here before, but now it's closer to the middle. So you're going to do that again. How's that coming? Good. I'm finding that's not looking pumpkin-y enough. So I'm going to try and go further on this side. Might just be the stuffing that's not filling out properly, but you know what? We're going to do it again. Why? Because we can. So maybe go on the opposite side. Like that. And just keep doing it. I'm going to pop this on fast. Keep doing it until you're happy with yours. Oh, oops. Okay, so my thread's just come out, guys. I'm just going to rethread it and finish it off. I'm a duffer, aren't I? So I'm just going to go straight into another area. That's far too down. Go straight into another area. That's it. And we're happy. Once you're happy with your pumpkin, all right? If you're not happy, just keep going. But I'm happy with this. I'm going to leave this, and you can even fiddle with it once it's done. But once you're happy, you're on the bottom, yeah? And if you're not happy, just give everything a big tug, making sure everything is all in place. I think I've not stuffed it enough. See, look how thin that is. I'll just move some stuffing over. It's all right. It'll sort itself out eventually. So once you're done, you're going to do, once again, this little bit here where you go like that. And this is a part I tried to show you before, but I didn't have enough yarn. There's your needle. Just grab a thread, pop it over your needle and pull it through, and that'll knot it underneath your work. This is the underneath part, right? And you're going to do it again one more time. Just pop a thread around it. Whoops, don't split the yarn like I just did. Pop a thread around it like so, pulling it through, and then all you're doing is popping the needle in there like that, anywhere. Pull that yarn through, pull it down real tight. You're going to give it a cut, and it's going to disappear with inside the pumpkin. Okay, bring it out, adjust your pumpkin to suit. All right? Oh, mine is so out of shape because of the stuffing that I put in. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Now we're getting there. That's better. That'll teach me to put the stuffing in right in the first place. Alrighty guys, now this particular part here is a tiny little bit tricky. So if you are new to crochet, you may struggle to do this part. Don't stress too much because you can always just make your own little stem and with thing and just sew it on if you want. But I like the way this part looks, but it is, like once again I say, tricky. Okay, so you're facing your pumpkin towards you this way, yeah. You're grabbing your new coloured yarn, which is the green or the brown, whichever you want to make your stem with, okay? And you are working from the inside out. So give yourself, we're working on these ridges again. So give yourself, I don't know, maybe 3 single crochets up. That's a bit hard to notice. So if you are 3 here, 2 there, 4 there, it doesn't matter because it's okay for this to look a little bit jagged because that's pretty much what a real pumpkin looks like. However, if you want to get pedantic, it's usually 3 single crochets up. Okay, so I know mine's really tight in the center, but it's 1, 2, and roughly around here, 3. So my one's right in that center. So I'm going to pop my hook there, not on the outside and working in the round, but on the inside and working in the round. So it's a little bit awkward. Yeah, so grab your tail of your new yarn, whatever color you're using, and pulling it through, just passing it forward for a minute. Chain 1. In the same stitch, oh, let me get a close-up for you. In the same stitch, you're going to pop a single crochet. Let me try that again because you're far away. We'll do it again. All right, so you're 1, 2, 3, right in there. Pop your hook around the ridge, yeah? Grabbing your new thread, pulling it through, bring your tail forward, chaining 1, and a single crochet in the same stitch. It's a little awkward. Now just for this round, and we might be able to do it in the next round as well, grab your stitch marker and pop it in that stitch, and that's in between your 2 loops, yeah? Because you need to know where to pop your thread at the end of the round. All right, now what you're going to do here is you're going to do the same thing. You're going to count up roughly 3, doesn't matter if it's 4 and doesn't matter if it's 2. It's okay for it to look a little bit ridged, this part, all right? And you are going to pop your next single crochet. So I'm even going like this. I'm not even going to count. I'm just looking at it. Well, I probably will. This looks like a 3 anyway. And doing a single crochet in the ridge, but loosely. Okay, don't do that too tight because we're not going in between here. We're just going on the ridges, okay? So you're going straight onto your next ridge. And if you're anything like me, your ridges will be pretty close. So it's good. And you're doing a single crochet. Then you're going right into your very next ridge like that. You can count if you like, 3 single crochets up, okay? And right into your next ridge there. The only time you need to put more is when you get here, because look at that. It's kind of really wide. Or maybe we can work 2 there. We might be able to work 2 there, we'll see. We're going to get there now anyway. So go into your very next stitch like that with a single crochet. Yes, right into your very next there with a single crochet, keeping these stitches not too loose, yeah, but loose enough. So what we might do is pop 2 here, 1 in there. So this is the ridge where we crocheted together. Maybe we'll just pop it through the whole thing. Remember we crocheted both the seams together. So in other words, it should actually have 2 there, but let's pop 1 there for now. If you can get your hook in. It's a little tricky. I think I've just split the whole thing. Let's try it again. There we go. Now we're happy. All right, so what you're going to have here is a big gap in here. So just find a little stitch in there that you can put. It's not on the ridge, but because there's 2 rows there, it'll look like you've missed a stitch if you don't do that. And then you go into your next ridge, yeah, and you go into your next ridge, my yarn keeps splitting. All right, and so on. I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me do it, so it'll take forever, but I'll keep doing it and we'll just pop the camera on fast. And your job is to go into every ridge you see with a single crochet and get to the end, which is right there. Now, when we get to the end, if you do not have an even amount in this round, then you need to add another stitch or take off another stitch. I'd more likely add because you don't want that to be too tight. All right, so continue along the way, which we're all going to do together. I'm just going to pop this on fast for you, but you continue along the way and get to the end of the row and we'll talk about what we're going to do next. All right, and off we go. Alrighty guys, now I have 1 ridge left and then we're going to slip stitch to join. But before we do, we're going to count because we know that we'll have 1 single crochet left to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to count to make sure that we have an odd amount for now and then that will make the even amount. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and it'll be 19, but it's supposed to be odd here. So what I'm going to do, maybe because we added that extra 1 around there, but that's okay. And again, if yours doesn't add up the same as mine, it doesn't matter. I'm going to add 1 in here so that I can have an even amount. So that would be 19. And then this next one right here would be 20. Okay, so we need an even amount of stitches. So I'm going to count that again and make sure I got it right. And you can count yours again too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's hard to count. Let's use a needle. 1, 2, 3. Hang on, it really is difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's move it over. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right, so I have 20 in the round. Doesn't matter how many you have, just make it even. All right, so what I'm going to do though is grab that stitch, that little thread. In fact, you know what we should do? I forgot to bring it forward, and the same with you. Just, you don't have to do this part. I'm just going to pop it in the middle, through a thread here, and pop it in the middle there. Okay, and we're going to cut that later. All right, so now we are going to slip stitch. If you've got an even amount in the row, you're going to slip stitch in that first stitch right there. Okay, take your stitch marker out, pull that stitch through like so, and into the stitch that you are in, chaining 1, and then from here we're going to do 2 single crochets together. I'm just going to hide that tail over there so you can't see it. It'll confuse you otherwise. So in the same stitch that you are in, pop your hook in, start your single crochet, pull your loop through like normal, and there you go. Then you're going to go straight into the very next stitch, start your single crochet, pull it through like normal. You should have 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, grab your stitch marker just for now. Pop it in there. You're going to do that all the way across. This is why I asked you to make sure you had an even amount of stitches. So start it in your very next one, start it in your 4th one, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. Okay, start it in your 5th, start it in your 6th, pull your loop through, and so on. And I'm just going to pop this on fast, and you can continue to do that all the way across your row. Now you don't have to worry about being loose or tight, just keep going, and I'll catch you up in a moment. How'd you go, guys? It's really awkward, isn't it? 2 more left here, and you should have 2 more left, hopefully. And you start it in your first and finish it off in your next, like so. All right, and now you're going to slip stitch right in the top of that stitch there, like so. Oops. Hopefully yours didn't come undone like mine. All right, but before we continue, grab your scissors and cut this thread. Now you don't have to cut it short, you know, keep it a little bit long because there's nowhere for it to go, so it'll just stay in there. So let's grab our scissors and just grab that little tail like that. Yeah, tuck it in. It's not affecting you at all. All right, so let's get on with the very next row. Once again, you are going to chain 1, but now we're not doing the single crochet 2 together anymore. This is going to be a normal single crochet round. So pop your hook in your stitch and do a normal single crochet. Pop your stitch marker in. This is going to be a very tricky round because everything's so tight now, you know, but in every stitch you come to, you are doing a single crochet. All right, so just keep going, single crocheting all, whoops, the way across the row. And it shouldn't take you long because we haven't got many stitches now. We should have about 10, maybe 5. I can't even remember how many we ended up with. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. Again, it doesn't matter if you're short, 2. It doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong way of this part of the pattern. All right, now if you're anything like me and you're struggling with the stitch marker, we're at the end, just count your stitches, right? And I'm going to count mine too. So mine are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to slip stitch in there first, check out that stitch marker, slip stitch in there and count my rounds. Not my rounds, my stitches. Mary, get it right. Chain 1, single 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like there might have been 10. Sorry, guys. Jeez, I didn't count that properly, did I? Duffer. 9 and 10. Well, maybe I was wrong before the count. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like I said, there's no right or wrong way. Slip stitch in the top of your first stitch. And again, you are chaining 1, single in your first. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I split the yarn there. Let's try that again. 3. So it's very tricky now because you can only put your finger in there. 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me bring this out. It's too close now, yeah? 8, 9, 10. You might find yours will be going on an angle now. That's good. That's fine. Slip stitch into your first, chain 1. Now you're going to do, no, we'll do another row because we're going to do a close up row soon. 1, 2, 3. It's tricky to see this, brown. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, so that's what you have so far. Let's have a look at it so you can see what it is. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to close that up one more row. So by closing it up, it's the join as you go together again. So slip stitch firstly into your first stitch, like so. Chain 1, single crochet half in that stitch and half in your second stitch. So you've lost 2 stitches there. Pull a loop through once. Half in the third, half in the fourth, and that is your second. Half in your fifth, half in your sixth, half in your seventh, half in your eighth, and you've got your 9 and 10 left. So half and half, like that. Slip stitch, if you can, in the very top of that first one that you did, right there. Pull up a loop. Now, have a look at your piece. If you find your top piece there, it's actually, I think that's perfect. I think it's perfect, but you know, it's entirely up to you whether you wanted to close it up a little bit in the beginning and make that thinner. I just found that harder to work with, so I did it nice and thick like that. So what we're going to do, you can pull up a nice long tail. This is it, guys. Get excited. Give your work a cut. Now pulling that tail through, nice tight, grabbing your sewing darning needle and threading. And there you go. Okay, so here we go. All you're doing, let me get a close up for you so you can see. All you're doing is going through each stitch that you did and just pulling it tight. You don't even need to, you can just go backward and forward a few times like that, because all you're doing is closing that little bit there. It really doesn't matter. All right. Now, to continue, you're going to do the same, but this time, remember I told you before about wrapping that thread around the needle. Just wrap it around once, pull your loop through, oops, and what it'll do is it'll just knot it like that. Yeah. You're going to do it again any way you want. Again, no right or wrong way of doing this. Doesn't have to be perfect. Wrap it around once and pulling your thread through. And then the rest, if you want, you can weave it in and out in there if you like. So go down a few stitches on the inside like that. Yep, like that, see? And then you're going to go back up the other way. This is what we normally do when we're weaving our end in at the end. So this is the end of your work, guys. Get excited. And then this one here, you can just weave it in, pull it through like that. What I want you to do is give it a tug so that it's tight, a little bit taut. So when you do that, it falls inside your pumpkin. And there you go. You now have your little pumpkin. Ta-da! How cute is that pumpkin? It's so cute. I love it very much. And perfect for our mantelpiece or my yarn shelf. I cannot wait to go and pop that on my yarn shelf and for you guys to see this on the live. Now I did this today instead of doing this on Thursday, like I said, because I wanted you to see this on the live on Wednesday. So you will see this on our live on Wednesday, but in the meantime, there you go. Perfectly gorgeous. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you guys, well, pretty much already do for me. Don't forget to join us on Wednesdays live at 4 p.m. this week and I will show you this firsthand. All right, thank you so much for watching and I love my pumpkin. Ciao for now.